What's up, Math 8? Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Math with Mullins. Today we're going to look at 5.2 perfect cubes and cube roots, kind of like square roots, except cubes are going to be in groups of three. So what we're going to be able to do is identify those. We do have two vocabulary terms to start off with. A perfect cube is a number with integers as its cube root. So if you take like the cube root of 27, is really just thinking what times what times what would give you 27, and it has to be the same number. That's going to be the number 3. Or the cube root of 8. 8 is a perfect cube because something times something times something will give you 8, and that number is 2. A cube root is a number that when multiplied by itself is 3 times equals a given number. So using those examples from above, 3 to the third power means 3 times 3 times 3, which gives you 27. You can say this as 3 cubed, or you can even do that with the 2. We're going to go up all the way to, I think, 5. 2 times 2 times 2, that's going to equal 8, and you can say this as 2 cubed, or you can say 2 to the third power. Okay, make sure you've got that copy down in your notes, and when you're ready to go on, go ahead and click play to see what comes next. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our list of perfect cubes here, and you should have gotten a paper in class to help you. So let's go ahead and do this. Take time now to pause the video here, and I want you to go ahead and try to find these cube roots. Again, that just means you're going to take the number and you're going to multiply it by itself 3 times to get your answer. So I did the first one for you. Let's pause here and go ahead and try the rest. All right, onward with 2 cubed. That's 2 times 2 times 2, which should have given you 8. Next, we have 3 cubed. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Next up, we have 4 cubed. That one is 4 times 4 times 4. When you type that into your calculator, you should get 64. 5 cubed is 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, times another 5 is 125. 6 cubed, 6 times 6 times 6. So that's 36 times 6, which is 216. 7 cubed is 7 times 7 times 7, or 49 times 7. You get 343. 8 cubed is 8 times 8 times 8, or 64 times 8. You're going to get 512. 9 cubed, 9 times 9 times 9. You should get 729. And then 10 cubed is 10 times 10 times 10, which is a 1 with 3 zeros, or 1,000. Okay? Make sure you got all those correct answers, and let's continue on and try some questions. The one thing we also want to make sure is that when you cube a number and when you find the cube root of a number, it's almost like you're doing the opposite operation. 4 cubed, or 4 times 4 times 4, gives me 64, in the same way that the cube root of 64, this would be how you would say it, cube root of 64, is equal to 4, because it's saying what times what times what would be equal to 64. And all of those would just give you be a 4. So what we're going to do is now talk about types of cube roots. We have 2 types, positives and negatives. The positive square root or cube roots is what we've seen so far. So just the cube root of 27, you're going to end up with a positive 3. But sometimes you can have a negative cube root, and this is going to be where it'll be okay. Notice that the negative is on the inside, and that just means my answer will be negative 3. Here's why. The cube root of negative 27 is negative 3 because when you take negative 3 and multiply it by itself 3 times, you do get negative 27. Broken down into 2 groups, negative 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times negative 3 still gives me negative 27. So just understand, if you have a negative on the inside of your radical, if it's a cube root and a perfect cube, you can still have that answer become a negative. What we're going to do now is help find our cube roots. We have this page and then another one. So what I'm going to do is have you Watch me do one of these, and then you're going to try the rest of them. So the first one, the cube root of 343, you can either memorize this or peek back at your notes, which is what we had right here. 343's cube is 7. So my answer is 7. And then the next one, the cube root of negative 125, that'll be negative 5. Go ahead and pause, see if you can try these next two. When you're done, click play to check your work. Now remember, this one is a fraction, so you can think about them as two different cubes. The cube root of 8 over the cube root of 27. I know the cube root of 8 is 2, and the cube root of 27 is 3, so my answer is 2/3. Then for this one, the cube root of negative 729 is going to give me negative 9, because negative 9 times negative 9 times negative 9 gives me negative 729. Go ahead and pause the video here as well. Try these on your own, and when you're done, click play. All right, for this one, the cube root of 64 is 4, and the cube root of 1000 is 10, but I can still simplify this by 2, so I'm going to get 2 over 5. And then the absolute value, or sorry, the cube root of negative 1 is equal to negative 1. The final thing we're going to do, it says find the two perfect cubes that the numbers between and see which is closer to. That answer is its approximation. So you may want to go back and look at your cube root list for this. Otherwise, let's go ahead and try these and get started. All right, this cube root, we're going to have the cube root of 8 and the cube root of 27, our closest perfect cubes. And since it's closer to the cube root of 27, we're going to estimate and say it's about 3. The cube root of 50, those two, I know I have 64 on one end, and then I would have 27 on the other end. 50, it's probably closer to 64 because 50 is, let's see, how far from 27? It's 23, whereas 64 is only 14, so we're going to say about 4. The cube root of negative 100, well, I know this cube root of 64 is an option. And then the cube root of 125. 100 is still quite a bit of ways from 64. It's 36 away. It's only 25 away from 125. So we're going to say it's about negative 5. And then the cube root of 500, I would maybe say, if we looked back at our sheet here, 500 is going to be between that 7 cubed and 8 cubed. So 343 and 512. So we got the cube root of 343 and the cube root of 512, and it is closer to 512, so we're going to say this is about 8. Okay, and then the last one, we're just going to continue practicing with square roots. So let's pause here. Let's do a blitz. How do our square roots pan out? Square root of 16 should be 4. Square root of 144 is 12. Negative square root of 1 is negative 1. Negative square root of 225 is 15, negative 15. Okay. And then a last little bit, go ahead and pause here. Try these on your own. When you're done, click play. All right, 289 should be 17. 36 should be 6. 361 is going to be 19. 324 is going to be 18, so negative 18 for this one. 400 is 20, so the square root of negative 400 is negative square root of 400 is negative 20, and negative square root of 100